Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm inviting you to join me in class. We'll just share just a bit about the class, and then maybe I'll share a few more lessons in the comments, or whatever you want to learn more in depth I can take you through in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe on the video. Yep, let's do this. And for now, let's join the class and learn more about America's history in the colonial period and the foundations of where the country came from in the colonial period. Like lots of information about how dating was in that time, the courting phases, and the ratios of men to women, and how men started to exchange tobacco, to trade tobacco in Europe, and then in exchange for women, not as a form of like slave trade, but as a form of women who wanted to get the opportunities in America, just like modern immigrants do, would just come in exchange for the tobacco. So the tobacco companies would make a lot of money. The women would also be happy that they're getting married to Americans. And it was just a very, very interesting piece of history. I won't spoil for you, but just stick with me. Let's join the class together and just watch a few minutes together. And in case you need more in-depth information, I'll catch you guys in the comments.
Being burned at the stake or put in stockades. And there will be a video on the Seven Witch Trials, one of those fascinating times in colonial America. But one of the things I always do when I teach in person is we take a lecture to talk about marriage and relationships in colonial America. And I find it fascinating. It was actually a very challenging time to get married and to be in a relationship in colonial America, specifically if you were a man. And there's a few reasons for that. Early on in colonial America, men outnumbered women 6-1. So because of this, women could be very, very, very picky. 25% of men actually never got married. And that's not because they didn't want to, it's just because they desperately couldn't find someone. This really gave a lot of power to women in the sense that they had fair pick of the land. So if a guy was too poor, too poorly spoken, too short, whatever that may be, his chances of marriage continued to fall. Now, society realized that women began using this to their benefits, and actually in Virginia they passed a law that a woman could only be engaged to one man at a time. And one of the reasons why is because you can get engaged to several guys, start kind of milking it for different monetary benefits, and that became kind of an issue. So colonial America was very cutthroat in the dating and marriage world. In fact, the best colonial America ever got to pre-Revolutionary War was 4 men for every 1 woman. So because of this, 75% of the population was male. So because of this, it allowed females to be very, very, very picky, and it made marriage very challenging. And guys had to try really, really hard in order to get a bride. Now, there was something called tobacco brides that became kind of a big deal in colonial society. And basically, the Virginia Company brought women over to the colonies, and men would pay for their bride in tobacco. Specifically, these tobacco farmers in places like Virginia would grow enough tobacco to give to the Virginia Company, and they would sell the tobacco in Europe, and they would be given a bride in exchange. Now, this wasn't slave trading. The woman wanted a new life in North America. So it's kind of like when people in third world countries want to come to North America, they desired the opportunities of North America, and basically it's like a matchmaking service that the Virginia Company pick out attractive women, intelligent, well-spoken women, and then they basically got a free pass to come to the New World, and then these men were paying their way through. So it was this whole system of trade, even though it sounds still kind of repugnant to us in modern culture. It was supposedly a win-win-win situation. The woman got to come to North America, the man got a bride when there's only 25% of the population is currently female, and then the Virginia Company's making a ton of money on tobacco. So this was one of the ways to kind of get around this challenge of finding love, if you will, in colonial America. So tobacco, of course, and we touched on some of this in the Native American Columbian Exchange video, tobacco was very valuable to European powers, to Europe, because it was native to North America. It was very significant to ceremonies and to the native populations. And now that the Western powers are experiencing that kind of nicotine buzz for the first time, now they're experiencing what tobacco, the calming effects, they really want it. Pipe smoking is a really big deal at this time, and it doesn't take very long before cigars become a big deal. And the upper gentry, like that's a mark of powers to smoke these cigars. So tobacco becomes kind of a trading currency, if you will, at the time. Now, there were different perspectives in colonial America. You had the Virginia Cavaliers, you had the New England Puritans, and you had the French fur traders. And these are just three of the areas where we're really going to see a lot of differences. The Virginia Cavaliers were kind of the more secular or liberal, if you will, of the colonists. So they were usually very wealthy. Their courting rituals or their dating rituals would have involved a lot of dancing and parties and balls. The Puritans, on the other hand, were the kind of the hoity-toity. They were the religious, austere, very fundamentalist group in New England, and they would have been very, courting with a chaperone all the time, things of that nature. And the French fur traders of the far north, specifically Canada and some of those New England regions, a lot of times they would marry Native American women, and one of the reasons why is because then those Native American would help them scout, would help with the language concerns, would help them actually be able to navigate the waterways and the cultural ways of the New England, the far north, and Canada as they were going about their fur trading practices. Now, we talked about this already, but dancing was a really big deal in New England courting society. There's a few reasons for that. One is even the Virginia Cavaliers were still much more conservative than our current dating practices. So dancing was one of the few places where you could actually be close to the person that you were interested in. And this was important. As you read some of the writings at the time, it's kind of comical. They would want to be close to each other so they could see if their teeth were good quality, to see if they had good breath, to see if they were graceful, to see if they actually smelled good. I mean, again, we kind of laugh when we read the letters and the journal articles of the day, but if you weren't really allowed to be close to someone for very long, these were things that were probably important to you that you really wanted to see. So dancing became very significant in the courting and dating and marriage relationships of colonial America. Women began looking for a man at the age of 14, and again, that seems very young, but life expectancy was very short. And you wanted to be able to start your life, have children before you got cholera or malaria or whatever disease you were going to die from, possibly in your 40s. So because of this, women typically start looking for a man around the age 14. If a woman was still single by the age of 28, her likelihood of getting married just dramatically fell. If you were 28 as a female still single, you were an old maid, and your chances of getting married were nil. In comparison, men didn't start looking for a bride until average age around 19, 20. And the reason why is because a man had to be stable in a vocation first. The division of labor in European powers as they came to colonial America was that the man worked and was the primary breadwinner of the homes. Because of this, 1920 was the average age for a man who was looking for a bride, which is about 14 or 15, which obviously in our modern culture, that's really gross to us. But again, short life expectancy for the woman to be able to have children before she passed away. Same with a man as well. Typically, a man in his teenage years would become an apprentice to a trade that may be tanning, which is the idea of taking fur and making leather out of it. It may have been blacksmithing. It could have been silversmithing. Could have been cobbling, which is making shoes. But typically, you took on an apprenticeship to become some type of craftsman. And then once you were stable in that, or at least had an idea of what you were doing around the age of 19 or 20, you would get married. So these are some of the dynamics that we see in colonial American society. And again, this is always one of the favorite lectures that we talk about in class. When the Puritans and the Virginia Cavaliers were asked what the most important aspect of a good relationship was, it's surprising, probably in modern culture, the number one thing that mattered was harmony. And for colonial society, if you had a harmonious marriage, that is, you liked each other and you didn't argue, that was more important than love, that was more important than attraction. That was the number one indication of a good marriage in colonial society, was if you were harmonious in your relationship. So these are all just little things as we look at this idea of colonial America. It was very different. And remember, it's pre-America. The Revolutionary War hasn't happened yet.
Thank you very much for coming with me to class and watching this part of the class with me. In case you're interested in more of this content and educational content and personal development, remember to again like and subscribe, and also turn on the notification button so that you can always be notified when such videos are uploaded to this channel. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.